Ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans from all corners of the globe, welcome back to the channel. I am absolutely thrilled and, frankly, still try to catch my breath because what we have just witnessed on the pristine lawns of the Eco-Trans Ladies Open in Berlin is nothing short of extraordinary. If you're just tuning in or if you've been living under a rock for the past few hours, let me be the first to deliver the seismic news that has completely upended the tennis landscape today. Alexandra Eala, the 21-year-old rising phenomenon from the Philippines, has just pulled off one of the most sensational, jaw-dropping upsets of the 2026 WTA season, stunning the veteran powerhouse and grass court maestro, DONNA VEKIĆ. Let that sink in for a moment. Alex Eala stuns DONNA VEKIĆ. We all knew this first-round encounter had the potential to be a popcorn match, a fascinating clash of generations, styles, and trajectories. But very few experts, pundits, or even the most die-hard fans could predict the sheer drama, the tactical masterclass, and the unyielding mental fortitude that the young Filipina displayed today in Germany. This was not just a victory. It was a statement, a loud, echoing declaration that Alex Eala is not just a prospect for the future, but a bona fide, terrifying threat right here, right now, on the surface that is traditionally the hardest to master. Let us set the stage properly, because context is everything in the sport of tennis. We are in the thick of the fiercely competitive, blink and you miss it, grass court swing. It is that magical time of the year when the clay dust of Roland Garros is washed away and the tour shifts to the slick, lightning-fast courts of Europe, all roads leading, of course, to the sacred gates of the All-England Club for Wimbledon. The Berlin Open, a prestigious WTA 500 event, is a cornerstone of this preparation. The draw here is notoriously stacked. We are talking about a field headlined by the likes of Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, and Elena Rybakina. Just to be in this draw is a privilege. To win a match here requires absolute elite-level execution. And drawn together in the very first round were Eala and VEKIĆ. On paper, for many, this looked like an impossibly steep mountain for Eala to climb. DONNA VEKIĆ is 29 years old, a seasoned warrior of the WTA Tour, and crucially, a player whose game is tailor-made for the grass. Let's not forget, we are talking about the 2024 Wimbledon semifinalist. We are talking about the silver medalist from the 2024 Paris Olympics. VEKIČ possesses a massive, penetrating first serve, flat, booming ground strokes that skid dangerously low off the turf, and a wealth of experience in high-pressure situations. Grass rewards first-strike tennis. It rewards power, and it rewards aggression, all hallmarks of the Croatian's formidable arsenal. She arrived in Berlin having recently reached the final of the HSBC Championships, clearly feeling the ball well, and looking to cement her status as a top contender ahead of Wimbledon. On the other side of the net stood Alexandra Eala, the pride of the Philippines, a nation that she is single-handedly putting on the global tennis map with every swing of her racket. Eala entered this tournament as a wild card, a young player still charting her path through the grueling upper echelons of the WTA Tour. But let's be clear, she is no stranger to success. Just last week, she hoisted the trophy at the Birmingham Classic, securing her second WTA singles crown and proving that she could adapt her naturally clay-oriented, heavy topspin game to the slicker surfaces. Yet, facing a top-tier grass court specialist like VEKIČ in a WTA 500 event is a different beast entirely. They had met once before, back in January at the ASB Classic in Auckland, where Eala secured a gritty 3-set victory. But that was on hard courts. Grass is VEKIČ's kingdom, or so we thought. What unfolded on the court today was a mesmerizing display of athletic brilliance and strategic genius. Eala did not just survive VEKIČ's onslaught. She neutralized it, redirected it, and ultimately dismantled it. The shockwaves of this result are currently reverberating from the grandstands in Berlin all the way to the tennis academies in Manila and straight into the locker rooms of the top seeds who are suddenly looking over their shoulders. We're going to break down exactly how this happened. We will look at the turning points, the tactical adjustments, the unforced errors, and the winners that defined this encounter. We will analyze what this means for DONNA VEKIć's Wimbledon campaign, and whether it's time to hit the panic button for the Croatian star. And most importantly, we will dive deep into the evolution of Alex Eala. How did a graduate of the Rafa Nadal Academy, whose game was built for the grinding rallies of Philippe Chatrier, transform into a grass court giant slayer capable of out-hitting one of the purest ball strikers on the tour. Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and get comfortable, because we're going to leave no stone unturned. This is the kind of match that defines a season, the kind of upset that signals a shifting of the guard, and we're going to explore every single facet of it. Let us dive right into the deep end of the tactical pool and examine the anatomy of this monumental upset. Transitioning now into the core of our analysis, the deep dive into mechanics, the psychology, and the raw tennis metrics that dictated the outcome of this clash. To understand how Alex Eala achieved this monumental victory over DONNA VEKIĆ, we have to look past the final scoreline and dissect the stylistic matchup. Tennis is often likened to physical chess, and today, Eala played the role of the grandmaster. Coming into this match, the conventional wisdom suggested a clear paradigm. VEKIĆ would look to dictate play with her massive first serve and flat, aggressive ground strokes, look at endpoints quickly and prevent Eala from establishing a rhythm. Grass court tennis is fundamentally about taking time away from your opponent. The ball bounces lower and skids faster, meaning players with long, looping takebacks often find themselves rushed, hitting the ball late, and coughing up short replies or unforced errors. Eala, having developed her foundational game on clay, naturally employs a heavier topspin forehand with a slightly more elaborate preparation. This is precisely why so many pundits favored the Croatian. VEKIć's flat strikes are designed to cut through the grass, staying below the opponent's strike zone and forcing him to scoop the ball up, setting it up perfectly for a put-away. But from a very first game, it became abundantly clear that Eala and her coaching team had done their homework. The 21-year-old Filipina stepped onto court with a highly refined, aggressive game plan that neutralized VEKIć's primary weapons. Let us talk about the return of serve, which was arguably the cornerstone of Eala's success today. DONNA VEKIĆ relies heavily on free points off her first serve. She likes to hit her spots, open up the court, and follow up with a crushing first strike. However, Eala took up an aggressive returning position, standing closer to the baseline than we typically see from her. By taking the ball early, Eala used VEKIć's own pace against her. She wasn't looking to hit clean return winners. Rather, she focused on depth and placement, consistently blocking the ball back deep down the middle of the court to jam VEKIĆ, or slicing it low to force the tall Croatian to bend her knees and hit up on the ball. This completely disrupted VEKIć's rhythm in her service games. Time and time again, we saw VEKIĆ looking frustrated, unable to find the easy +1 forehands she is so accustomed to setting up. By neutralizing the serve, Eala turned the match into a baseline battle, which was the first major tactical victory. Now, let's analyze the baseline exchanges. The left-handed advantage cannot be overstated in tennis, and Eala utilized her lefty status to absolute perfection today. Her heavy, cross-court topspin forehand naturally targets the right-handed opponent's backhand, while VEKIĆ has a very solid two-handed backhand. Eala's ability to generate acute angles pulled VEKIќ wide off the court, opening up the down-the-line passing lanes. But what truly impressed me today was Eala's willingness to flatten out her own shots. We know she can grind. We know she can hit with immense spin, but today, she showed a willingness to step inside the baseline and take the ball on the rise. When VEKIќ left the ball even slightly short, Eala pounced. She drove her backhand flat down the line, a shot that skidded beautifully on the Berlin grass, leaving VEKIќ stranded. This evolution in Eala's game is frightening for the rest of the tour. She is no longer just a defensive counterpuncher. She is developing a devastating offensive arsenal that translates across all surfaces. We must also discuss the movement. Grass is notoriously tricky to move on. You cannot slide the way you do on clay, and the footing can be treacherous. You need thousands of tiny adjustment steps to get into the right position for the low-bouncing balls. VEKIќ, despite her experience, looked slightly heavy-footed today. Perhaps it was fatigue from her recent deep runs, or perhaps it was simply the sheer unrelenting pressure Eala applied. Eala, on the other hand, moved like water. Her footwork was crisp, her balance was impeccable, and her court coverage was simply astonishing. She chased down drop shots that looked like guaranteed winners, and she managed to get one extra ball back in her rallies, forcing VEKIќ to go for smaller margins. This is where the mental aspect of the game comes into play. When an aggressive player like VEKIĆ realizes that her best shots are coming back, it induces panic. We saw VEKIĆ starting to over it, trying to paint the lines, which inevitably led to a spike in her unforced error count. Eala's defensive resilience broke VEKIC's offensive spirit. Let's zero in on the psychological turning points. Tennis is a game of momentum, a pendulum that swings back and forth based on a handful of critical points. In the first set, they remain neck and neck, holding serve comfortably until a crucial juncture at 4-all. This is a fabled business end of the set, where experience usually triumphs over youth. VEKIĆ earned a break point, a golden opportunity to serve for the opening set. In the past, a younger Eala might have tightened up, perhaps thrown in a double fault or played a safe, passive rally. Not today. Eala stared down the barrel of that break point, tossed the ball up, and delivered a blistering first serve out wide, followed by an audacious drop shot that left VEKIＣ miles away. She held serve, and in the very next game, applied immense returning pressure to break VEKIC and snatch the first set. The psychological blow to VEKIC was palpable. You could see her shoulders drop, her frustration boiling over as she looked toward her coaching box. She had played well, yet she found herself a set down. In the second set, the dynamic shifted entirely. Eala, buoyed by the confidence of the first set heist, began to swing freely. Her forehand became a weapon of mass destruction, dictating the tempo of every rally. VEKIC, to her immense credit, did not go away quietly. She is a fighter, an Olympic medalist who knows how to dig deep. She ramped up her aggression, trying to hit her way out of the slump, but Eala had all the answers. The Filipina's ability to absorb pace and redirect on the run was reminiscent of her idol, Rafael Nadal. The match culminated in a high-octane final game, with Eala serving for the match. The tension in the stadium was suffocating. VEKIC threw the kitchen sink at her, saving match points with blistering winners. But Eala remained icy cool. On her final match point, she engaged in a grueling 20-shot rally, ultimately drawing a backhand error into net from VEKIC. Game, set, and match, Alexander Eala. The celebration was a mix of pure joy and relief, a testament to the magnitude of the mountain she had just scaled. This victory is not just a footnote in the Berlin Open draw. It is a massive data point in the ongoing evolution of the women's game. It proves that the old orthodoxies of grass court tennis are being rewritten. You don't necessarily need a booming, flat game to win on grass if you possess elite movement, tactical adaptability, and an indomitable will. Eala's background at the Rafa Nadal Academy instilled in her a work ethic and a tactical foundation that is paying massive dividends. For years, observers have wondered if her game would translate to faster surfaces, and today, she provided an emphatic, undeniable yes. We are witnessing the maturation of a prodigy, the transition from potential to realized excellence. But what does this mean for the immediate future? Eala has now advanced to the round of 16 in a stacked WTA 500 event. The draw does not get any easier. She is on a collision course with the upper echelon of the rankings, potentially facing world number 2 Elena Rybakina, a former Wimbledon champion. That match will be the ultimate litmus test. Rybakina's serve is arguably the best on tour, and her flat power is a different magnitude than VEKIC's. But after what we saw today, counting Eala out will be a foolish endeavor. She has proven that she thrives as the underdog, that she relishes the big stage, and that she has the tools to dismantle elite opposition. We have dissected the match, we have analyzed the tactics, and we have marveled at the execution. But the beauty of tennis lies in its continuity. A tournament is a living, breathing narrative, and this match is just a single, explosive chapter. As we wrap up this extensive coverage, we have to look at the horizon. What are the long-term ramifications of Alex Eala's stunning DONNA VEKIĆ on the pristine lawns of Berlin? First, let's address DONNA VEKIĆ. This is undeniably a tough pill to swallow for the Croatian. She has built her season around a grass court swing, a period where she traditionally accumulates ranking points and builds immense confidence. An early exit here, particularly to a younger, lower-ranked player who is not historically known as a grass court specialist, will prompt some soul-searching. VEKIC needs to regroup quickly. Her weapons are still formidable, and her experience is invaluable. The key for her will be to analyze this tape, identify why she was unable to hit through Eala's defenses, and perhaps make minor adjustments to her court positioning and point construction. Does she need to come to the net more often to finish points against elite defenders? Does she need to add more variety? Perhaps a slice backhand to change the rhythm of the rallies? These are the questions her coaching team will be asking. Wimbledon is just around the corner, and she cannot afford to let this loss derail her mental state. A champion's mettle is tested not in victory, but in how they respond to defeat. VEKIĆ has bounced back from injuries and slumps before. Do not be surprised to see her come out swinging at the All-England club with a point to prove. Now, let's turn our attention to the star of the hour, Eala. The trajectory she is on right now is nothing short of meteoric. Winning the Birmingham Classic last week was a milestone, a breakthrough that proved she belonged. But beating DONNA in Berlin elevates her status from promising talent to legitimate threat. The cultural impact of her success, particularly in the Philippines and across Southeast Asia, is monumental. Tennis has traditionally been dominated by European, North American, and occasionally Australian powerhouses. While players like Li Na and Naomi Osaka have blazed trails for Asian tennis, Eala represents a new wave, a player from a nation without a deep historical tennis infrastructure, rising to the top through sheer talent, unbelievable dedication, and global training resources. Every time she steps onto court, she carries the hopes of millions. That is a heavy burden for a 21-year-old, but she wears it with a grace and maturity that defies her age. This victory will inject Eala with an immeasurable dose of confidence. When you know you can beat a Wimbledon semi-finalist on her favorite surface, your belief in your own ceiling shifts fundamentally. She will walk into the locker room with a different aura. The top players will look at her differently. They will know that she is not a comfortable draw, that she cannot be bullied off the court, and that she possesses the mental fortitude to win the ugly, grueling matches. Heading into Wimbledon, Eala suddenly becomes a dark horse that nobody wants to face in the early rounds. The unseeded player who can blow up a section of the draw. The question now is one of physical and mental endurance. Can she sustain this level of intensity week in and week out? The WTA Tour is a relentless grind, a marathon that tests the limits of the human body and mind. Eala has played a lot of tennis recently. Schedule and her physical conditioning will be paramount. Furthermore, this match highlights the incredible depth of the women's tour right now. The gap between the top 10 and the top 100 is thinner than ever before. On any given day, a wild card can step onto the court and dismantle a seeded player if the conditions align and the execution is flawless. This unpredictability is what makes the WTA Tour so thrilling to watch. There are no easy matches, no guaranteed victories. The established elite, the Swiateks, the Sabalenkas, the Goffs, are constantly being pushed, challenged, and tested by the rising tide of young, hungry, and fearless players like Eala. This internal pressure cooker is elevating the standard of women's tennis to unprecedented heights. The athleticism, the power, the strategic nuance. It is a golden era for sport. As we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought on the sheer beauty of the upset. Upsets are the lifeblood of sports. They remind us why we watch, why we care, and why we invest our time and emotions into watching individuals hit a yellow ball back and forth over a net. An upset disrupts the established order. It challenges our assumptions and forces us to view the sport through a new lens. Today, Eala disrupted the order. She walked on a court in Berlin as an underdog and walked off as a giant slayer. She proved that hard work, tactical brilliance, and an unwavering belief in oneself can overcome experience, power, and expectations. For Eala, the sky is the limit. She is writing a remarkable story, one chapter at a time, and we are privileged to bear witness to it. Whether she goes on to win the tournament in Berlin, or whether she makes a deep run at Wimbledon, remains to be seen. But one thing is absolutely certain. She has arrived. She is here to stay, and the tennis world had better take notice. Thank you so much for joining me for this extensive breakdown of an unforgettable match. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel for more comprehensive tennis analysis, and ringing the notification bell so you never miss an update. I want to hear from you in the comments below. What did you think of Eala's performance today? Do you think she has what it takes to make the second week of Wimbledon? And what does DONNA need to do to recover from this shock defeat? Share your thoughts, your predictions, and your hot takes. Until next time, keep enjoying the beautiful game of tennis. This has been your host, signing off. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.